The neighborhood was silent, except for the sharp pop that sliced through the air like a gunshot. My son's birthday balloons, bright red, blue, and yellow, lay in tatters, murdered by the HOA Karen sisters, Darlene and Marlene, who stood smirking like they'd just won a war. It was supposed to be a perfect day. My son, Ethan, turned 6, and we'd planned a small party at the community park. Nothing fancy, just cupcakes, a piñata, and a dozen balloons tied to the picnic table. Ethan had been buzzing with excitement all morning, his little hands clutching the strings as he babbled about superheroes. I was setting out the snacks when Darlene and Marlene, the self-appointed queens of the Sunny Acres HOA, stormed in like they owned the place. Darlene, the older one, waddled ahead, her floral muumuu flapping like a warning flag. Marlene trailed behind, clutching a clipboard like it was the Constitution. "These balloons are not HOA approved," Darlene barked, her voice loud enough to make Ethan flinch. She pointed a sausage-like finger at the vibrant orbs bobbing in the breeze. Section 4, Article 12. No unauthorized decorations in communal spaces. I blinked, stunned. "They're birthday balloons," I said, keeping my voice calm for Ethan's sake. "It's a kid's party. We got a permit from the park office." Marlene snorted, her chins wobbling. "Permits don't override HOA rules, honey." She scribbled something on her clipboard, her pen moving with the glee of a tyrant signing a death warrant. "We'll have to confiscate these. They're an eyesore." Ethan's lip trembled. "My balloons," he whispered, his big brown eyes filling with tears. I knelt beside him, rubbing his back, my blood boiling. These women weren't just ruining a party, they were crushing a little boy's joy. "Confiscate." I stood, squaring my shoulders. "You're not touching my son's balloons." "Back off." Darlene's eyes narrowed, her face twisting into a sneer that could curdle milk. "Oh, we'll do more than that." Before I could react, she yanked a pair of scissors from her purse. Actual scissors, gleaming and sharp, and started slashing. Pop, pop, pop. The balloons burst one by one, their cheerful colors collapsing into sad, rubbery heaps. Ethan wailed, burying his face in my skirt. The other kids froze, their laughter dying as Darlene and Marlene cackled like they'd just pulled off a heist. "Problem solved," Marlene said, tossing a shredded balloon at my feet. "Next time, read the bylaws." I was shaking, not just with anger, but with the sheer audacity of these women. They didn't just hate balloons, they hated happiness. They thrived on control, on making everyone else as miserable as they clearly were. I wanted to scream, to grab those scissors and cut up their precious clipboard, but Ethan's sobs kept me grounded. I had to be better than them. "Stay here, buddy," I whispered to Ethan, handing him to my friend Lisa, who'd been watching the scene unfold with wide eyes. I pulled out my phone and dialed the park office. "Hi, this is Sarah. We have a situation at the pavilion. 2 women just destroyed my son's birthday decorations." The park manager, Tom, arrived in minutes, his face a mix of exasperation and disbelief. He'd dealt with the Karen sisters before everyone in Sunny Acres had. They were infamous for their petty crusades, fining people for unapproved mailbox colors, reporting kids for chalk drawings, even trying to ban Mrs. Rodriguez's rose garden for being too fragrant. Tom took one look at the balloon carnage and sighed. "Darlene, Marlene, you can't do this," he said. "This is public property, not your personal fiefdom." Darlene crossed her arms, her muumuu straining at the seams. "We're enforcing HOA standards. This is our duty." "Your duty?" I snapped, unable to hold back. "You scared a bunch of kids and ruined a birthday party. What kind of people do this?" Marlene stepped forward, her clipboard raised like a shield. "People who care about this neighborhood's image, unlike some people who let their brats run wild with tacky decorations." That was it. The dam broke. Neighbors who'd been lingering nearby started chiming in. Mrs. Rodriguez, usually quiet, shouted, "You fine me for my roses, but this is too far." Mr. Patel, who'd been setting up for his daughter's soccer game, added, "You've been bullying everyone for years. Enough." The air crackled with tension. Darlene and Marlene, sensing the tide turning, doubled down. Darlene shoved Tom, her meaty hand sending him stumbling. "Don't you dare lecture us," she screeched. Marlene, not to be outdone, grabbed a cupcake from the table and smashed it into the ground, screaming about unapproved food items. That's when the police arrived. Someone, probably Lisa, had called them. 2 officers stepped out of their cruiser, their faces grim as they surveyed the scene. Crying kids, a furious crowd, and the Karen sisters standing over a pile of ruined balloons like cartoon villains. "Ma'am, step back," Officer Jenkins said, approaching Darlene. "We got a call about vandalism and assault." "Vandalism?" Darlene shrieked, her voice hitting a pitch that could shatter glass. "We're protecting property values." "You destroyed private property and pushed a park official," Jenkins said, pulling out his handcuffs. "That's not protection. That's a crime." Marlene dropped her clipboard, her bravado crumbling. "You can't arrest us. We're HOA board members." Jenkins didn't flinch. HOA doesn't mean above the law. He cuffed Darlene first, her wrists barely fitting in the metal. Marlene tried to run, but her waddle was no match for the second officer, who caught her in seconds. The crowd erupted in cheers as the sisters were led to the cruiser, their faces red with rage and humiliation. Ethan was still sniffling, but he watched, wide-eyed, as the police car drove away. I knelt beside him, wiping his tears. "It's okay, buddy. They're gone. We'll get new balloons, I promise." But the damage was done. The party resumed, but the kids were quieter, the joy dimmed. I couldn't stop thinking about how Darlene and Marlene had turned a child's birthday into a battlefield. Their arrogance, their need to control everything, it wasn't just petty. It was cruel. The next day, the neighborhood buzzed with gossip. The Karen sisters had been charged with vandalism and assault, and the HOA board was holding an emergency meeting to remove them. Mrs. Rodriguez started a petition to disband the HOA entirely, and it was gaining signatures fast. People were done with their reign of terror. I took Ethan to the store to pick out new balloons. He chose the same colors: red, blue, yellow, and tied them to his bike, a small act of defiance. As we walked home, he looked up at me and said, "Mom, why are some people so mean?" I didn't have a perfect answer. "Some people think being mean makes them important," I said. "But they're wrong. Being kind, like you are, that's what matters." He smiled, and for the first time since the party, I saw his spark return. The Karen sisters had tried to steal his joy, but they couldn't take his heart. And as we passed their house, with its perfectly trimmed lawn and "no trespassing" sign, I couldn't help but smile. Karma had come for Darlene and Marlene, and it hadn't held back. The neighborhood felt lighter without their shadow. We held another party the next weekend, this time with twice as many balloons. The kids laughed, the adults relaxed, and the air was free of petty tyranny. Sometimes, justice comes in the form of handcuffs and a cheering crowd. Sometimes, it's just a 6-year-old smiling again. The end.